Hello there and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a brief history of England as a country as part of something new I'd like to do with the channel, combining my love for games but also history. Today I'll be playing a game recently released, one that I actually backed on Kickstarter myself, called Roots of Pacha, developed by Soda Den and published by Critevo. It's a little tribal farming game that I felt fit with the start of this new series that I wanted to do. I'd also like to preface the start of this by saying that history is a terribly beautiful thing. There is so much that's happened in the past that by today's standards should never be accepted by the people of today, but we should not turn away from the stories and histories of yesterday, and that we should accept them for what they are, were, and always will be, because we cannot change. There's no way of turning back the clock and going back to the problems in the past, so I think we should move forward with better understanding of our history. Not in agreement with things that have happened, but in the idea that by knowing them we can make a better tomorrow. So let's start off with this. England became inhabited about 800,000 years ago. We found stone tools and footprints in Haysborough and Norfolk, as well as some in Kent's Cavern over in Devon. They found a jawbone back in 1927 that has been dated to be around 41,000 to 44,000 years old, belonging to, we believe, the Creswellian culture, also known as the British late Magdalenian culture. So here in England we have numerous remains from the Mesolithic, Neolithic and Bronze Age, such as Stonehenge, Avebury. In the Iron Age, all of Britain south of the Firth of Forth, which is the Firth River in Scotland, was inhabited by the Celtic people, most commonly known as the Britons, but we also had a lot of Belgic tribes. So you had the Atrebates, the Cataveloni, as you can tell, there's going to be a lot of hard to say words. The Trinovantes in the southeast as well. So the Belgic tribes tended to be more in the southeast. So with this series, I also plan on tackling history in sort of groups by country, with crossovers, for instance, in, let's say, like the 100 Years' War, which obviously took place between both England and France. But I might actually make some shorter videos based on like earlier cultures for each country as well, based on what information we have. So getting back to England though, around 43 AD we had the Romans. You can tell I'm good at this. The Romans' invasion of Britain. The Romans actually maintained control of what was then called Britannia until the early 5th century. But when that ended, we had the Anglo-Saxons move in, which we often look at as the origin of England and of the English people today as a whole. They didn't come peacefully. The Anglo-Saxons were a collection of different Germanic people. They had several kingdoms that they established that became primary powers in present-day England and also parts of southern Scotland. They introduced the Old English language, which took over from the previous language we had here, which is the Brittonic language, which was generally spoken across England. The Anglo-Saxons then went to war in Western Britain and the Old North, which were the Brittonic-speaking parts of Northern Britain, as well as each other, because, you know. But That also then started to change in around 800 AD when the Viking raids started becoming a lot more frequent. They started coming over a lot more. The Norsemen then settled quite a lot of large parts of what is now considered England. And during this time, several rulers of the different kingdoms were trying to unite the different Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. This did end up leading to the Kingdom of England by the 10th century, but then in 1066 we were then invaded by the Norman expedition who conquered England. So the Norman dynasty was established by William the Conqueror, who ruled England for over half a century before the period of succession crisis happened, which we call the Anarchy. The Anarchy then came to be ruled under the House of Plantagenets, which is one of England's largest dynasties. They also inherited claims to places in the Kingdom of France as well. So during this time period, this was when the Magna Carta was then created and signed, which sort of coincided with the succession crisis happening to France at the time, which also led us to fighting in the 100 Years' War. Because both sides wanted to have France. The French wanted France, England also wanted France. Following the 100 Years' War, we then got stuck in our own succession wars, which we famously know here as the War of the Roses. It was two branches of House Plantagenet that both wanted to sit on the throne. So you had the House of York and then the House of Lancaster. In the end, it was actually a Lancastrian called Henry Tudor, who became Henry Tudor VII, who ended the War of the Roses and then established the Tudor dynasty in about 1485. Under the Tudors, we also had the Stuarts from Scotland. England did become a colonial power. During the rule of the Stuarts, we also had the English Civil War between the parliamentarians and the royalists, which did end up in the execution of King Charles I, not to be confused with our current King Charles, which also led to an establishment of different republican governments. First, we had a parliamentary republic known as the Commonwealth of England. We also had a military dictatorship under Oliver Cromwell, known as the Protectorate. We did then restore the Stuarts back to the throne in 1660, but issues over the country's religion and power ended up with another Stuart king, who was James II, being deposed in what is known as the Glorious Revolution. England, by this sort of stage, had consumed Wales into itself under Henry VIII, which then caused us to unite with Scotland in 1707 to form a new sovereign state called Great Britain. Following this, we had the Industrial Revolution, which started in England. Great Britain then ruled as a colonial empire. We are the largest in recorded history. Not necessarily the only one, but the largest. Following a process of decolonisation in more recent times, due to Great Britain's power sort of reducing during the two world wars. So a lot of the empire's overseas territories have now gone back to being independent countries, which is a good thing, definitely. But thank you for, taking the time to look at this video. I'm still just undecided sort of where I want to take the next video in terms of, whether I want a specific person or topic, what starting point, because I don't really see the need to cover anyone currently living, even if they've done something of like note. They're still living out their story, they're not finished yet. People who may have recently have passed, I'd be quite happy to cover, but yeah, I'm more looking to go backwards. As you can imagine, any country, there's a lot of starting points that can affect other parts of history, like religion, political groups, individual people, monarchies, diseases. Even the general population of a country has shaped them in some form, with like uprisings, revolutions, to turn them into what they are today. I'd also like to cover any sort of legends or folklore that have appeared over different time periods for different countries. I think that'd be really cool. But thank you for watching the first video in my new series. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's something I plan to stick to as the new format for the channel as well. So if you enjoy chilling out to games and just having random facts thrown at you, then come join me. It's been lovely having you here, and it'd be nice if you could like, share and subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know if there's something specific you'd like me to cover topic wise, or even if it's the history of a country you'd really like to see. I'll see you all again next time. Bye!